Alrighty, welcome back. Last and final lecture. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about those added controls, and I'm also going to give you some words of wisdom with this project. So added controls, there's a list on Blackboard called extra control ideas, and so you need to look at that. You can do any of those things. You can also do things that aren't on that list. So you can think of things that, to your heart's content that you think are just awesome and wonderful that add value or make the, system more secure or safe or user-friendly or realistic or whatever, and you can take ideas from that sheet, and or you can also think of ideas on your own. So the sheet is just a list of common ideas students have. There are certainly a plethora of other ideas that students have that are not on that sheet. So the world is your oyster. Feel free to dream big and make it happen. So different controls are worth different points. The TA will evaluate how value added this is, how much more realistic this makes my project, and also how technical it is. And so the example I always give is graphs. So graphs are pretty straightforward. Hopefully you learned about graphs in a previous accounting course. We certainly, or a computer class in the business school. We certainly haven't gone over them in class. It's just assumed that from prior classes that you know how to do these. And so graphs are a point each, and you're limited to 3 because we don't want someone doing 20 graphs. I don't even know if you could think of 20 different graphs to put on here. Given the information we have, but you get cut off at 3 graphs at a point a pop. So you can get 3 points of 20 right there, which are pretty easy and straightforward. Here I have a graph showing my purchase volume, so what items am I purchasing a lot or a little of, and then here my sales volume, which ones am I selling the most of or selling the least of. And so you could make arguments as to why these are useful and value added, and it's realistic. People do have this information and they do use it. And so is it value added? Yes. Is it realistic? Yes. Is it an extra control? Not really, but that's okay. Is this really technical? No, not really, but it did require you to do something a little bit different than what we did in the project, so that's okay. But the skills it took are elementary compared to the skills that you have hopefully learned in this class. And so that's why we're going to assign 1 point to it. Something like a ratios page. So this is not fully complete, but this is just to show that you can do different ratios if you want. That would be worth more points, probably 3 or 4 points if you could do that. But you need to have at least 8 ratios. And so you need to go through your accounting textbooks and figure out what kind of ratios there are and what ratios you can do. So you can have a ratios page, 8 ratios, 3 or 4 points depending on the ratios and how accurate it is. Some people have a customer page that just is a simple page. It gives a list of all the customers, the name, the address. You may even be able to put down information as to how much money they've spent and what volume they've purchased from you. And then you can also have a vendor page. Where's my vendor located? What's their fax number, their address? What's my credit report with them? Whatever. And so you can have that information. And depending on how complex those pages are, those are usually worth about a point or 2 each. So something that might be worth a lot of points is a login. So some students have figured this out, but not many. So I challenge you to do this if you like Excel. Some students have this. So when I open up the workbook initially, I don't see the project. I just see this blank screen right here. Okay, I just see that blank screen, and then a little box comes up and it says enter username and password. The usernames might be a drop-down list, or I might just have to enter it in. And if I just enter in, or had the choice of only entering in one username, or maybe it just asks for a password. Let's say it just asks for a password. If it just asks for a password, that's still pretty cool, and that will probably be worth something like 4 or 5 points. That way, there's some protection on the actual system itself. I can't just have some schmuck in my office come in and use the system without my permission or without having the right seniority, so there's a separation of duties there. The next step to take it one step further is to have a drop-down list or have multiple login names. So that way, say I log in, maybe I can only look at the sales journal and I can only look at the inventory page, and that's it. I can't do anything else. And then if I log in as someone else, say the manager, if I log in as the manager, I can see everything. So then there's clearly some separation of duties. There's clearly more technicalities there. So is this realistic? Absolutely. You log into a system and there are separations of duties, and certain systems allow certain people to do certain things. And so it's realistic. It's certainly value added. It's a definite control, and it does take quite a bit of skill. So you do the basic one with just the password. That's probably worth about 4 points. You do this with multiple usernames, logins, and passwords. That's probably worth something more like 9 or 10 points. So just to give you an idea, there are a lot of things you can do. All right, last couple things. Your project needs to be colored, which means I don't want to see any of those grid lines. So, for example, if I white this out, I can potentially see grid lines, but I can see the 1000 here. I can also see all this information over here. This information is not useful to the user. It doesn't do anything for the user, nor does this little 1000 here. That is all information that makes this page work. So anything that's kind of hidden in the back, or any of the background detail that makes the page work, that needs to be hidden. So that way when I color everything, make sure the text here for the 1000 and the background color are the same color, as well as information over here. That way everything's hidden, I can't see it, and all I can see is the table that I'm working with, the hyperlinks that I have, the macro, and the title. That way this looks very clean and nice and professional, and so you want to make sure that all your pages are like that. So my sales journal is not like that. I would simply highlight everything. It looks like my text was red, so I'm going to make the background color red, and there you go. Everything looks like, oh, everything's not quite hidden, but tell you what, just do that. We can highlight that and make these items the same color. It looks like we got some different reds. I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but I can. So change those colors. So now I just have my table, again, my macro, and my hyperlinks. So I should have a title here. I don't. Make sure you have a title. So everything should be titled, everything should be colored, everything should look nice. So keep that in mind, including your instructions page. Make sure you have all the hyperlinks done. So order the whole entire phase 2. Do everything in steps. Make sure the adjusted trial balance balances before you go on to the general journal. Make sure the ending trial balance balances before you go on to the financial statements. Make sure you have all the required stuff done before you start working on the added controls. And then make sure you have everything done that you like before you start coloring it up and making it look pretty. So make sure you do it in that order, or else you're going to be wasting time, undoing things, fixing things, whatever. So just be efficient about this. Use your time wisely, because your time is important. So don't mess around with this. Get it done on time. As far as the added controls are concerned, if you're not sure how much a control idea is worth, point value, go to your TA, ask them, say, hey, here's my idea. How many points could I get for this? And they'll talk to you about it, and they'll help you out with it probably too. So feel free to ask them. Generally, you need about 6 to 8 or maybe 9 controls, different controls or items that could include 3 graphs to get the full 20 points or close to it. So that's kind of the ballpark that you should be shooting for. Again, if you do everything right without the added controls, you get a B on phase 2. If you want to go above and beyond and get that A, you got to do the added controls. So it's up to you. I strongly encourage for you to strive and reach for the top and get those added controls, get those extra points, get the A you deserve. Go through the checklist. Make sure that when you think you are done, go through the checklist, check everything off, make notes of what you don't know or what you think you're stuck on or need help on. Go to the office hours, get help, fix those things, check them off, have some more comfort, and then when you think you're done, go through it one more time. Check everything, because there's always something else. There's always that one little thing you forgot or you said you'd do later, you put it off, and then you got sidetracked, you forgot about it, whatever. Make sure you go through it one last time. When you think you're done, you're not really done. Go through it one more time, check it, double check it, and then send it off, and then be able to sleep comfortably and know that you did a good job and that you made it the best you could make it. So follow my wisdom, follow my advice. I've seen this for a while, and so this is certainly not an incredibly difficult thing, but it is challenging. It does demand some work from you, and so hopefully at the end of this you feel like you've made an accomplishment. You feel like you have learned something. Hopefully, if you came into this with a little bit of apprehensiveness to Excel, hopefully now you feel a little bit more comfortable with it and have some more confidence. And so certainly, if you're going to go on to a master's or PhD program, you will be using Excel a lot more than you will in your undergrad. And so it's a very valuable tool, and especially in any career that is accounting, finance, or even econ. Even desk jobs these days require some kind of Excel proficiency, and so again, it's an invaluable tool. You can get a job making 50K a year just by knowing Excel and not really knowing much of anything else. So it's a valuable, valuable tool. So I hope that you had some fun with this at least, or you didn't break your computer by throwing it against a wall, that you got something out of it. Again, I'm just going to beat it to your head and tell you that you got to go through everything, make sure everything's balanced, make sure everything's looking nice, strive to get that A, do the added controls, go to your TA, ask for help, do that checklist, check everything off, be the grader yourself, make sure everything's bulletproof, and then when you think everything's done, go through it one more time. It's okay to go to office hours and get help, talk with your friends, collaborate, and I wish you the best of luck. So again, hopefully this was a good experience for you, and I wish you the best of luck in your future accounting courses. So hopefully see you next time.